All right, everyone. Buckle up because we are diving deep into Squid Game Season 2. You guys sent in a ton of articles and trailers and all sorts of behind-the-scenes sneak peeks. And we're going to break it all down together. It's almost premiere time, so let's make sure you are totally ready for December 26th.
We're going beyond just the hype. We're going to look at all the deeper stuff, too.
Exactly. So first things first. The premiere, I know you are excited about that December 26th date, and it's hitting Netflix worldwide, but get this, there are premiere events, both in Seoul and Los Angeles.
Yeah, the Seoul one already happened December 9th. Huge fan turnout.
Yeah.
Even a performance by that dance crew. 1 million.
Wow.
But if you're in LA, you still have a shot. There's this 4.56K fan race happening on December 12th. Winner gets to go to the premiere with director Hwang Dong-hyuk himself and the stars of the show.
That is some serious next-level marketing. Plus, they're bringing back the official podcast, so they're going to be analyzing each episode as they air. Maybe we can grab some bonus insights from that, too. Okay, let's talk about Gi-hoon. He won the game, walked away with a fortune, even dyed his hair red, but then throws it all away and jumps right back into the game. What do you make of that?
It's a fascinating twist for sure. The director, Hwang Dong-hyuk, has said that Gi-hoon is kind of broken. He can't go back to his old life. He even turns away from his daughter to go back to the games.
Wow.
So what could possibly push him to make such a crazy choice?
Yeah, what is driving him? Is he going for revenge, or is he trying to bring the whole organization down from the inside?
Well, the actor Lee Young-jae has hinted that we'll see a much darker Gi-hoon this season. So his motives may not be so simple. He's definitely driven.
Yeah.
But by what?
Right. It seems like he's going to be a totally different Gi-hoon this time around.
You know, we might not see that good guy so much.
Yeah, I was going to say, less of the good guy persona that we saw glimpses of before. Okay, well, Gi-hoon's a returning player, but he's not the only one. We're also going to see the frontman again. And the recruiter.
Yes, and we've got those casting announcements. For the new players, some serious talent joining the game. Yim Si-won, Kang Han-il, Park Ga-young, Won Ji-an.
Wow.
And we can speculate all day about their roles, but there's this one image that stuck with me. That photo of the man handcuffed to a bathtub.
Ooh, that was creepy.
What kind of game could that even be?
I don't think it's going to be rubber duckies and bubbles. Knowing Squid Game, it's going to be intense. Maybe it's like a variation on that bridge game, but with water, like some kind of endurance challenge.
That's definitely possible. You know how the show loves those life or death choices. But I'm looking at that man's expression in the photo. He doesn't look terrified. He's not desperate. There's this odd sense of calm about him.
Okay, that is interesting. Yeah, you're right. It's not the reaction you would expect. So maybe it's not just physical. Do you think they're going to play with the psychological aspects even more this time?
I think they are. They could really be pushing players to their breaking point, forcing them to face their fears.
Right. Anxiety.
Remember how central debt and desperation were last season?
Oh, yeah.
This image of the bathtub could be tapping into that again.
Okay.
Showing just how far people will go when they're trapped.
Trapped by their circumstances.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. We know the show doesn't shy away from exploring those darker sides of human nature.
They really get you thinking. The brilliance of Squid Game is how they weave that social commentary into this high-stakes, dramatic competition.
Yeah.
And that one image might be a sign. They're going even deeper this season.
Speaking of going deeper, did you see that episode title for the premiere? Bread and Lottery?
Oh, yeah. Deceptively simple, right? Bread. Makes me think of those basic necessities. Survival. That struggle so many of the players face.
Makes sense.
And then lottery. It makes you think about chance, the randomness of winning and losing.
But also the illusion of choice, right? Like even if you win the lottery, are you really winning?
Exactly.
That's the true cost of playing.
And what about those running the games? The front man's a scary guy. But who's pulling his strings?
Ooh, good point.
That title, Bread and Lottery, could be hinting at those bigger forces.
Yeah, those systems that keep everything unfair.
That drive people to these games in the first place.
So it's not just about the individual choices, but the systems that push them to make those choices.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Squid Game is so compelling because it works on multiple levels.
I love how it shows those individual motivations, but also those big societal forces too.
It's not just about who wins. It's about the nature of the game itself.
Okay. Let's talk about something a little lighter for a second. You know how much Squid Game merch there is?
Oh, yeah?
I mean,
Yeah.
I get it. The show is huge, but come on. It feels like they're slapping that logo on everything.
You've got everything. Tracksuits, T-shirts, those creepy doll masks. But it goes way beyond that.
Really?
There's Squid Game skincare, limited edition Johnny Walker Black Label with player numbers.
What?
Even emergency pizza from Domino's.
Tied into the show.
That's wild. Makes you wonder what's going on. Is it just fandom, or is there something deeper?
Maybe people want to connect to the show, but on a different level.
Okay.
Like to bring that excitement of the games into their everyday lives.
Or maybe companies are just cashing in.
Probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
But it definitely makes you think about entertainment and consumerism and how those lines are blurred.
It's a little unsettling, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I love the show, but do I really need Squid Game face cream?
Makes you pause.
It does.
I think it's good to be critical, even while we're enjoying the show. Totally. It's all about balance.
Right.
Enjoy the show, but be mindful of the bigger picture. Okay, so we've got returning players, new recruits, premiere date right around the corner, a whole lot of merch. But what about the core of it all? The games. What can we figure out about what's coming?
Well, those trailers are vague on purpose.
Right.
But we do get glimpses,
Ugly.
the masked guards, the giant playgrounds. There was one thing I noticed in one of those behind-the-scenes things. Director Huang wants to bring back characters who only had really brief appearances in the first season.
Oh, yeah. People have been going crazy with the theories online about that. Which characters, what will it mean for the games? I hope we see that gangster again. The one who lost his eye during the marbles game?
That would be intense. He definitely had some unfinished business.
Yeah.
But Huang, he loves his twists. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some really unexpected faces come back.
Right.
Remember that elderly player with dementia from the marbles game?
Oh, yeah?
I think his presence added a lot of complexity to that whole game.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. And it made you think about those moral questions. For the players.
For us as viewers, too.
Yeah. The possibilities are endless. I have no idea what to expect. Okay. So what about that scene in the trailer where Gi-hun is staring at the wall, covered with photos of the past players? What do you think that's all about?
That's such a powerful image.
I know.
It suggests Gi-hun is carrying the weight of everyone who died. He's not playing for himself anymore. Maybe he's becoming a symbol of hope. Maybe resistance.
Yeah.
Against the whole system.
That makes sense. But remember, Lee Jung-jae said, we're going to see a darker side of Gi-hun this season.
No. Yeah.
So what if his quest for answers leads him down a dangerous path?
It could. It really makes you think about the line between hero and villain.
Oh, absolutely.
It can be thin. And maybe Gi-hun will have to face that
inner struggle.
this season.
I can't wait to see how it all plays out. Another thing that struck me, those premiere events. Seoul, Los Angeles. It really shows you how global this whole thing has become.
It really does. Squid Game has become a worldwide phenomenon.
And that 4.56K fan race in LA.
Pure marketing genius.
I know.
Tapping into that competitive spirit the show's all about.
Yeah.
And they're building this community around the fans, too.
It's like they're saying the games might be fake, but that excitement, that desire to be part of something bigger, that's real.
And maybe that's the core of it. Why people are so drawn to Squid Game. It's like a reflection of our own desires, our fears, the choices we make in a world that can feel like a game itself.
Wow. You really went deep there.
It's all about those layers.
It is.
And that's what we're here for, to dive beneath the surface, explore those questions, unpack all the complexity of this amazing show.
So glad we did this. Before season 2 drops, now I feel even more prepared to experience it all.
I think we're just getting started.
Oh, that's a good tease. Okay, before we get carried away with speculation, let's shift gears for a minute. I want to talk about the artistry of Squid Game. The visuals, the music, the costumes, it's all so striking and memorable.
It's a masterpiece of craft, really.
Like a work of art, I have to say. Those pink jumpsuits and those creepy masks, they've become iconic. And Gi-hun's green tracksuit, you see it. You know what it is.
You're right. The costumes are so important to the whole look and feel of the show.
Yeah.
Playful and sinister, reflecting those twisted games.
Right.
And the set design, those giant playgrounds, the maze-like corridors,
Yeah.
the bright colors, against the brutality of what's actually happening.
Visually stunning, but deeply unsettling at the same time.
Exactly.
It's like they created a world that's familiar and alien, innocent and terrifying all at once. And don't forget the music, suspense, melancholy, even some playfulness.
It's so unique.
Yeah.
Traditional Korean instruments with those modern electronic sounds.
I love how it's both haunting and beautiful at the same time.
Like the music is playing a game with our emotions, too.
Yeah.
Keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Right.
But also tugs at your heartstrings.
I would definitely caught myself humming those tunes after an episode ended.
Me too. And of course, those performances. Lee Jong-jae as Gan-hoon. So vulnerable. So determined.
Yeah.
The whole supporting cast is amazing, too.
I love how even the villainous characters, you can understand them. You know what I mean?
That's what makes Squid Game different.
It does.
It's not just good versus evil.
It forces you to think about those gray areas.
Of human nature
Yeah.
and what people do.
Yeah.
When they're pushed to their absolute limits.
It's like a reminder that sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones that we create.
Exactly.
So, with all that said, what are you most excited to see in Season 2?
Oh, that's a good question.
What about you?
For me, it's Gi-hoon's journey.
Okay.
I want to know how he'll handle this quest for answers, while also trying to hold on to his humanity.
Yeah.
I'm also really interested in the psychology of it all.
Okay.
How are they going to push those boundaries even further this time?
Ooh, good question.
What new depths of human resilience and desperation are we going to see?
And of course,
Yeah.
the new games.
Well, I think it's safe to say, Season 2 is going to be a wild ride.
Buckle up. Bring on the games.
Okay, thinking back to those first images that were released for Season 2, do you remember that photo of the man submerged in the bathtub? He looked trapped.
Oh, yeah. That one was creepy. It definitely sparked a lot of theories online. Some people thought it might be like a new version of the bridge game. We have to guess which tubs are safe.
Yeah, that's a logical connection.
Yeah.
With all the life or death choices. But there's something else that I find interesting. The man's expression. He doesn't look panicked or desperate at all.
You're right. It's not what you'd expect.
Yeah, there's this strange calmness about him. Almost like resignation.
So maybe it's not a straight-up physical challenge then. Maybe it's more about mental strength, like how long they can handle the pressure.
Yeah, maybe. A game of endurance. Pushing them to their absolute breaking point.
Okay.
Or it could be tied to those themes of debt and desperation
Mm-hmm.
that we saw in the first season. Imagine being so deeply in debt that even a terrifying bathtub game seems like an option.
That's dark.
Wouldn't be out of character for Squid Game, though.
Yeah, you're right.
Makes you think about how those themes connect to the real world, too.
It does. That anxiety about finances, those hard choices people have to make.
Absolutely. That's what makes Squid Game so brilliant. It takes those big social issues and combines them with the suspense, the drama of those deadly games.
Oh, for sure.
It's not just a show, it's a reflection of our world.
Right. Speaking of reflections, did you see the title for the Season 2 premiere? Bread and Lottery.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think?
Well, it seems simple on the surface, but there's probably more to it.
Right. Like always.
What do you think about when you hear bread?
I think of basic needs, survival, the things those players are fighting for.
Exactly.
And then lottery. Obviously, it makes you think of chance. The randomness of who wins and loses.
Right. But also, think about it. Is there really a choice? Even if you win the lottery, have you really won anything?
And at what cost?
Yeah. And then there's the question of who's really behind it all. We know the front man. He's got power. But who's pulling his strings?
Oh, yeah. Who's the real mastermind?
That's what keeps me up at night.
Do we have any clues about who those puppet masters might be?
Well, we do know Gi-hoon wants to find out. That's a big part of this season.
Yeah.
And remember Detective Hwang Jun-ho?
Oh, yeah. He infiltrated the games, found out his brother was the front man,
Yeah.
and then got shot. What a cliffhanger.
I know, right? We don't know for sure if he's dead,
Right.
but I have a feeling we haven't seen the last of his investigation. Even if he's not physically in the game, his story adds another layer to it all.
Yeah, maybe he's the key to finding out more about that organization.
Right. Who started it? What's the goal? Why are they doing this?
So many questions.
And, there's this theory, I find it pretty interesting. What if there are multiple game masters operating independently?
Ooh, like franchises, so the original Squid Game. But there are others all over the world. That would explain why they've stayed hidden for so long. And it would mean future seasons, different locations, different cultures, different games.
It's all very possible.
Oh, and maybe even crossovers. Could you imagine Gi-hoon teaming up with winners from other games to take down the whole network?
Whoa.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
Let's not get too carried away.
All right.
But you're right. There's so much potential to expand this whole Squid Game universe.
Yeah.
And they've already confirmed season 3.
Wow.
It seems like the creators are in for the long haul.
So, speaking of long games, can we talk about that merchandise for a minute? I know we mentioned it before. I'm still thinking about it. It's kind of absurd.
Yeah.
I get it from a business standpoint, but it feels like they went overboard.
I think it's interesting how entertainment and consumerism are connected.
Yeah.
And how Squid Game fits into that.
Yeah.
You've got things like that limited edition Johnny Walker Black Label aimed at a more sophisticated audience.
Right.
Like, let's sip some expensive whiskey while we watch people fight to the death.
A little unsettling.
But definitely a conversation starter.
Yeah.
Then you've got things like the Squid Game skincare line. Makes you think, what does it even mean? To use products from a show about survival games in your everyday routine.
Like, am I supposed to feel tougher while I'm wearing this face mask?
I don't know.
Is it about the aesthetic?
Maybe.
Or is it just about slapping that logo on everything?
I think it's probably both.
Yeah, probably.
But it does raise some questions about commodification.
Yeah.
And the line between entertainment and real-world suffering.
You're right. It does make you think. When does it stop being about the message and become about exploiting its popularity?
That's a tough one. But I think we should be critical about it, even when we love the show.
Absolutely.
It's a balance.
It is. Okay. Bringing it back to the games themselves, what do we know about the new challenges for Gihan and everyone else?
Well, we've seen some familiar things in the trailers and teasers.
Right.
The masked guards, those giant playgrounds, but the details, those are still a mystery.
Oh, that makes the anticipation even more exciting.
It does.
Remember that behind-the-scenes thing? Where director Huang said he wants to bring back some characters who only had those small parts in the first season?
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's been trying to guess who it'll be and what it'll mean for the games. It'll be so cool to see them fleshed out.
Right. Maybe we'll even find out their backstories.
Oh, yeah.
How they ended up in the game in the first place.
That would be interesting.
Maybe we'll learn about the organization, too. Through their eyes.
Yeah. Okay. I have to tell you, this is what got me really excited. That scene in the trailer where Gihan is looking at the wall, covered with pictures of all the past players.
Oh, yeah. That was chilling.
It was. What do you think he's thinking?
It makes me think. He's carrying the weight of all those people who suffered, who died.
Wow.
He's not just playing for himself anymore.
Right.
Maybe he's become a symbol of hope, or at least resistance
Okay.
against the forces behind the games.
Right, but remember what we were talking about earlier. Lee Jung-jae said, we're going to see Gi-hoon's darker side this season. So what if that search for answers leads him down a bad path?
It's definitely possible.
Yeah.
The lines between good and bad, they can blur, especially in a situation like Squid Game.
Right.
Gi-hoon might have to face those gray areas.
Oh, man, I can't wait to see how it all plays out.
Me neither.
And another thing, those premiere events. Seoul and Los Angeles.
Yeah.
That really shows you how big this is.
Squid Game's a worldwide thing now.
And that fan race in L.A., that 4.56K.
Genius marketing.
Right.
They're taking the excitement and turning it into a real-life competition.
It's brilliant.
It really captures the essence of the show.
Yeah. And it builds community with the fans, too.
It's like they're saying, hey, the games are fake, but the excitement, that desire to be part of something big, that's all real.
Wow. That's a great way to put it.
And maybe that's what draws people to Squid Game. It's like it reflects our own desires, our fears.
Our choices.
Yeah, the choices we make in this world. That can feel like a game itself.
Deep, man. Deep.
It's all about exploring those layers.
It is.
That's why we're here, to dive below the surface, to look at those questions and unpack this whole complex show.
So glad we did this before season 2 drops.
Me too.
Now I'm even more excited to see it.
I think we've only just scratched the surface.
Oh, that's a good tease. Okay, before we get too caught up in all that, let's switch gears again. I want to talk about how artistic Squid Game is. Those visuals, the music, the costumes.
Oh, yeah.
It's all so well done.
Absolutely. They really paid attention to detail.
Like a real work of art. I mean, those pink jumpsuits and those creepy masks, those are iconic.
They are.
And Gi-hun's green tracksuit, you see that anywhere. You know exactly what it's from.
I know, right? The costumes tell so much about the show.
Oh, yeah.
Playful but sinister.
Yeah.
Reflecting those twisted games.
Or the set design.
Yeah. Those giant playgrounds, the maze-like corridors,
Yeah.
bright colors, against the brutality of what's going on.
Stunning but unsettling. At the same time, it's
Uh-huh.
like they created this world that's familiar and alien, innocent and terrifying.
All at once.
Yeah. And let's not forget the music.
The music is so good.
It sets the mood so well.
It does.
Suspense, melancholy, even some playfulness.
You know, those Korean instruments mixed with those modern electronic sounds.
Yeah.
It's haunting and beautiful at the same time.
I love how the music plays with our emotions, keeps us on edge,
Yeah.
but also pulls at those heartstrings.
It's really effective.
I've definitely caught myself humming those melodies
Yeah.
long after an episode is over.
Me too. And of course, the acting.
Mm-hmm.
Lee Jung-jae as Gi-hun. He's amazing.
Yeah, he is.
So vulnerable and determined.
And the rest of the cast is great, too.
They are.
I love how even the bad guys, they feel human.
Yeah, you get them.
Right.
That's what sets Squid Game apart. It's not just about good versus evil.
You're right.
It shows those gray areas of human nature.
Yeah.
What we do when we're pushed to our limits.
Makes you wonder.
Sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones we create ourselves.
So true.
It's a powerful message.
It is.
That's what makes this show so compelling. So thought-provoking.
I'm glad we had this conversation. I feel like we've uncovered so much.
Me too.
So, before we wrap up, is there anything specific you're looking forward to in season 2?
I'm really curious to see how they'll push those psychological boundaries even further. What new levels of human resilience and desperation will we see?
Ooh, that's a great question. And of course, I can't wait to see those new games.
Buckle up.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say season 2 is going to be a wild ride.
Bring on the games. I think what makes Squid Game really stand out is how it makes you think about bigger things, not just what's happening on the screen, you know?
I agree. It's not just about the shock factor or who wins. Squid Game forces us to look at some tough realities.
About wealth and power.
Right.
And those systems that create inequality.
It really makes you think
Right.
about the choices we make. Would we participate in something like that if we were desperate enough?
That's a tough question. It makes you think about your own morals.
Some question that's even more relevant these days.
Yeah, with all the uncertainty in the world.
The themes of Squid Game, they resonate with people everywhere.
It's amazing how a fictional show can start real conversations. You know,
It is.
we've seen protests using Squid Game imagery, debates about violence in games.
Art can spark social change.
It can.
Squid Game has tapped into something,
Yeah.
a feeling that a lot of people share.
That unease about the world,
Right.
it gives us a way to talk about it, to question things.
It's more than just a show.
It's become a cultural phenomenon.
It really has.
And that's what makes this deep dive so important. We're not just getting ready for the premiere, we're using the show to look at our own world, our choices.
Our place in those bigger systems.
I'm thinking about the show in a whole new way now.
I think season 2 is going to be thought-provoking.
Yeah. I can't wait to see how it tackles those themes. What new questions will it ask?
So, as we wait for season 2, let's keep thinking about those bigger questions.
Right.
Because sometimes
Kathy.
the most unexpected things can give us the deepest insights.
That's a great point. You had one final thought for us, right?
Yes. If Squid Game shows us the dark side of humanity, do you think it also offers some hope?
Compassion and solidarity. Can those things win? Even when there's so much cruelty? I don't know the answer, but I'm ready to find out.
Me too. Remember, the games are just beginning.
And on that note, this has been your Deep Dive.